this to happen. This somebody needs to punch this dude in the face. And I'm sorry, don't do it. I'm not asking anybody to do that because that's illegal. But boy, I would laugh my ass off because this is fucking ridiculous. I'm just saying. Oh, the next one, I'm not sure if I believe or disbelieve, but the FBI has seized phone records in relation to the Capitol riots. And the Washington Post says that the FBI has found evidence of coordination in the Capitol riots. There probably was coordination by the left to fuck everything, so they can blame Donald Trump and steal the election. And this is going to get taken down. I can't put it up on YouTube because it's already been taken down for talking about that. Sorry, YouTube. I'm not going to not do that for you because Time Magazine admitted you bitches stole the election. And they flat out said there was a cabal that ensured the right outcome. Shouldn't have fucking opened your mouth. It happened. Fucking Crowder got banned from Twitter because he literally showed pictures and shit and talk of a show where he literally went to a bunch of fake addresses that people used to vote. Illegal votes. just saying. But anyways, so this is fucking the Washington Post article. When diehard supporters of President Donald Trump showed up at the Rally Point Cowboy in Louisville on the morning of January 5th, they found the shopping mall's parking lot was closed to cars, so they assembled their 50 or so vehicles outside a nearby Kohl's department store hundreds of miles away in Columbia, South Carolina, at a mall designated Rally Point Rebel. Other Trump supporters gathered to form another caravan to Washington. A similar meetup dubbed Minuteman was planned for Springfield, Massachusetts. The same day, FBI personnel in Norfolk were increasingly alarmed by the outline conversation they were seeing, including warlike talk around the convoys headed to the nation's capital. One map posted online described the rally points, declaring them a MAGA cavalry to connect patriot caravans to stop the steal in D.C. Another map showed up the Congress and initiated tunnels connecting different parts of the complex. The map was headlined "Create Perimeter," according to the FBI report, which was reviewed by Washington Post. Ooh. Yeah, okay, well then, show me a picture of this fucking map. I don't believe a damn word that comes out of any of your mouths. Be ready to fight. Congress needs to hear glass breaking, doors being kicked in, read one post according to the reports. Yeah, they probably do. FBI agents around the country are working to unveil the various motives, relationship goals, and actions of the hundreds of Trump's supporters who stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Some of those fucking people weren't Trump supporters, Washington Post. And the fucking police records show it. Some inside the bureau was described the Capitol riot investigated the biggest since September. Biggest since September 11th. Fuck, 4 or 5 people died, but it's the biggest. It's nowhere near September 11th. Nowhere fucking near that big. Top priority agents work to determine the extent to which the violence cast was pre-planned and coordinated. Investigators caution there is an important legal distinction between gathering like-minded people for a political rally, which is protected by the First Amendment, and organizing an armed assault on the seat of American government. The task is now to distinguish which people belong in each category and who played the key roles in committing or coordinating the violence. Yeah, you're not separating anybody in any fucking categories. You're just trying to save face. They arrested a grandma. Yeah, that old woman that walked into an open door that Biden has admitted he did himself once. The cop they said was killed wasn't even killed. He died of a fucking aneurysm, stroke, or some shit like that. It's just fucking lies from these people. And now they're seizing records from fucking congressmen and shit and trying to link Republican congressmen and women to the fucking Capitol riot to remove them from power. This is fascist, totalitarian garbage at its finest. Videos and quote filings describe how several groups of men that included alleged members of the Proud Boys appear to engage in concerted actions converging the west front of the Capitol before 11 p.m. There was no coordinated effort. It was a bunch of fucking random shitbags, random fucking hooligans that ran in the base. You're still trying to expect me to believe that the shaman guy is fucking QAnon when that has leftist written all over it. Right crazy doesn't look like that. That's like leftist identity crazy, bro. You can't even blend in good. If you show me a Ben Shapiro organizing having a riot, maybe I'll fucking believe you. But we have our fair share of fucking crazy, but I'm a fucking shaman. That is not the right type of shit. It's just not. I don't think we should be allowing the Democrats to use the government institution to go after Republicans like this. This is political persecution at its finest, and it's scary. This is one step below. This is why Gina got fired for making that comparison. This is one step below beating the Jews in the streets. This is there's a couple steps below rounding people up and, well, at least attempting to round people up and put them in camps, because there's too many of us to actually succeed with that. But you get what I'm saying. We can't allow this to continue. We can't allow this. So we're going to investigate these people that weren't even there, weren't even participating because they're Republican, for maybe even talking about a riot, when you got Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States of America, actually bailed out rioters that burned down their own city. No, this double standard, if it doesn't end in like 2-3 months, it's time to take up arms. Come get me. I don't give a fuck anymore. Label me a terrorist. I don't give a fuck anymore. You cannot be allowed to continue to operate this way. It has to be stopped by any means, in every means necessary. It's time to make the Capitol riot look like a fucking picnic. Who radicalized me? You did. You did. Because you don't even fucking uphold your own fucking standards. Burn the whole fucking place to the ground. Speaking figuratively, of course. By burn the whole place to the ground, I mean stop listening to them, don't wear the fucking masks, open your goddamn business, buy firearms, defend yourself, and tell them to fuck off. Stop paying taxes, stop everything. Stop letting them lending them the credibility they need to be a valid government. If you're in the military, take equipment and leave. Make them unoperational. Don't allow them to purge the goddamn government and institute this intersectional socialist mess, because that's going to fucking fuck us in the ass. That's the step right before you start rounding people up and putting them in camps. Gina Carano was right. I'm just saying. All right, and now comes the topic discussion of this fucking podcast. We've been saying this from the very beginning. The Supreme Court, it failed to do its duty when it refused to hear these election cases. And Justice Clarence Thomas, he agrees. He agrees with me. He agrees with us. His right, Clarence Thomas dissent in election cases. Our fellow citizens deserve better, and we do. We fucking deserve so much better. Our fellow citizens, this is a quote directly from Clarence, our fellow citizens deserve better and expect more of us, Justice Clarence Thomas declared Monday when the Supreme Court decided by one vote to hear none of the 2020 election cases raising issue of voter fraud and illegal votes. Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett voted with the liberal justices to deny view of the lower court decisions. 4 justices must vote to hear a case to put it on the court docket, but only 3 justices, Thomas, fellow conservative Samuel Alito, and libertarian Neil Gorsuch, voted to take at least 2 of the 4 of the key cases from November 2020. All 3 dissenting justices took the unusual step of writing opinions as to why the court should have taken a minimum of 2 of these cases. The Constitution gives to each state legislator authority to determine the manner of federal elections, began Thomas. Yet both before and after the 2020 election, non-legislative officials in various states took it upon themselves to set the rules instead. This is outrightly fucking unconstitutional, and Justice Thomas understands that, and something needs to be done about this. This needs to be heard, and we need resolution, or there will be war. There will be war. As a result, received an unusually high number of petitions and emergency applications contesting these changes. The petitions here present a clear example. The Pennsylvania legislature established an ambiguous deadline for receiving mail-in ballots 8 p.m. on Election Day. Dissatisfied, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court extended that deadline by 3 days. Thomas explained, referring to one of the rejected cases, these cases provided us with an ideal opportunity to address just what authority non-legislative officials have to set election rules and to do so well before the next election cycle. The refusal to do so is inexplicable, and it's right. It's unexplainable, it's despicable, and it's bullshit. They're trying to take over the world. It's because they stole the election. You're not going to convince me otherwise. Otherwise, why not be like, boom, here's the merits, it was done. For more than a century, this court has recognized that the Constitution operates as a limitation upon the state in respect of any attempt to circumscribe the legislative power to regulate federal elections, he continued, quoting Supreme Court precedent, because the federal Constitution, not state constitutions, gives the state legislatures authority to regulate federal elections. Petitioners presented a strong argument that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's decision violated the Constitution by overriding clearly expressed intent of the legislator. And it did, and you dismissed it without even, not on the merits. You dismissed it for procedural grounds, and that's going to have consequences. If we don't have it on the merits ruling with resolution, there will be war. That's why firearms are going up. That's why they're coming after firearms. That's why they're trying to regulate and make it harder to buy ammunition, because they understand this is going to fucking happen. It's unavoidable. That's why gun sales have gone up ridiculously high. They skyrocket over 600%. But elections enable self-governance only when they included processes that give citizens, including the losing candidate and their support. There's a lot of Clarence statements here. He said a lot. Confidence in the fairness of the election. Thomas added, quoting a recent Supreme Court case that held, confidence in the integrity of our electoral process is essential to the functioning of our participatory democracy. And he is right. And right now we do not have confidence in the integrity of our election system, no matter how much you want to think we do, because fucking your guy won. No, we don't. There was not resolution. You don't decide what resolution is. The aggrieved party do. You're going to have to accept whatever the right thinks is resolution, or come up with a resolution that you accept that the right accepts. Otherwise, we're not going to move forward without violence. It's going to get bad. It's going to get bad. But is that it? Yeah. Unclear rules threaten to undermine the system. The sow confusion and ultimately dampen confidence in the integrity and fairness of elections, he explained. To prevent confusion, we have thus repeatedly, although not as consistently as we should have, blocked rule changes made by courts close to an election. The mail deadline case did not impact enough votes to change the 2020 election, but we may not be so lucky in the future, Thomas warned. Indeed, a separate decision by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court may have already altered an election result, Thomas surmised. It did. Stop trying to beat around the bush. I can't really say. There's no definitive proof of that. There's just definitive proof that fraud happened. But if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a fucking duck. Thomas surmised that it's not a prescription for confidence. Changing the rules in the middle of a game is bad enough. Such rule changes by officials who may lack authority to do so is even worse. When those changes alter election results, they can severely damage the electoral system on which our self-governance so heavily depends. If state officials have the authority they have claimed, we need to make it clear. If not, we need to put an end to this practice now before the consequence becomes catastrophic. And I fucking agree with Thomas 100%. We can't allow this to continue. At first blush, it may seem responsible to address these questions when it next arises, he acknowledged, but whatever forces that argument has another context, it fails in the context of elections. And you can read this on Breitbart yourself. But this guy, he's speaking the truth. For factually complex cases comprising discovery, testimony, and appeals into this timeline is virtually impossible, Thomas explained, of the 5-week window to resolve November presidential election dispute before the electoral college meets in December. Adding this time frame imposes especially daunting constraints when combined with the expanded use of mail-in ballots. Voting by mail was traditionally limited to voters who had denied well-documented reasons to be absent, he observed, but then noted that while only 4% of the Pennsylvania votes were by mail-in ballot, last cycle, that number soared to 38% in 2020. That is a ridiculous increase. This expansion impedes post-election judicial review because litigation about mail-in ballots is substantially more complicated. Thomas continued, quoting expert reports. For one thing, as election administrators have long agreed, the risk of fraud is vastly more prevalent in mail-in ballots. The reason is simple. Absentee voting replaces the oversight that exists at polling places with something akin to an honor system. As a result, one article concluded that voting by mail is now common enough and problematic enough that election experts say that there have been multiple elections in which no one can say with confidence which candidate was determined the winner. And it's true. We can't move forward. There's probably more to that. We're not going to get into the whole thing here. You can read it on Breitbart yourself. But we can't be sure of our election system. We're using foreign software that